Oh, let me tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, one of the very few returning guests we've ever had, my good friend Rawal.
I am so happy to be here, Jay. Thank you for inviting me. And yeah, I was one of the first 4 or 5 guests, and who knew the same filmmaker would bring me back to your
Yeah,
podcast.
dude. You did episode 3 or 4, and you talked about Dunkirk and how much you hated Dunkirk, which is still to this day one of the most baffling opinions that I've ever had on this podcast.
And you know what? It took time, and it took seeing this movie to realize how good Dunkirk was. But also during this quarantine time, I rewatched it, and also becoming a Harry Styles fan since Dunkirk. That my main takeaway from the movie was always, oh, Harry Styles is a great actor. We could curse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Swear away.
He's a great fucking actor. He should fucking be in everything. But why the fuck was that movie hour 40 minutes long? But then another podcast, The Rewatchables by Bill Simmons and The Ringer, had Quentin Tarantino on talking about how it's his second favorite movie of the decade. And I was like, God fucking damn it. Okay, let me watch this. Then I watched it again. Then I watched it again. Then I watched it one more time. And I was like, oh shit, this is like a really good movie for what it is. And if you like inhabit yourself in the universe. I think I was just pissed at the time I watched it because I watched it 4 weeks after the hype, and everyone was telling me it was like the greatest thing since Saving Private Ryan, and I was like, calm the fuck down. It's very, very good. It's definitely in his top 6 best films for sure now.
Out of Chris Nolan's?
Mr. Jerry. Yeah, Mr. Jerry, though. This motion picture that you invited me for, please, I don't want to spoil anything.
I mean, it's Tenet, and it's Christopher Nolan's newest movie. It's out in theaters and drive-ins everywhere now. If you see it, go see it in a drive-in like we did. It's the safe way to go do it.
Do it. The safe alternative.
Yes, and honestly,
but also,
oh man, okay. So, just a heads up. If you plan on seeing Tenet, I know it's a movie that's very fresh out, and I haven't done a movie that's so fresh that you can't order in a while. So we're going to be spoiling the shit out of this movie. So if you care about any of that, don't listen any further. Just go drive out to your nearest drive-in and go see Tenet. I think it's worth your time, but Raj immediately... I posted about how much I liked it, and Raj came in... Not even an hour later with this is the worst movie I've ever seen. This is Christopher Nolan's worst movie.
It was a classic. It was good to have that passionate reaction to new content because the only 2 movies I had seen in theaters this year were Bad Boys for Life, which is a fucking masterpiece, and Sonic the Hedgehog, which is fun. But I was so amped to see this. I loved all the memes about it, and the counterculture really about it existing, and its release date just became content within itself. And then I saw it, and then, yeah, I mean, like you said, spoilers ahead. We can dive right into it, or any way you want. Because I did love the first 40 minutes of this movie. I loved the first 40 minutes of this movie. I thought the first 10 minutes was the best opening scene he has ever put together on screen, and it was the most on board I have been ever. In any
really
through the first the first 10 minutes was holy fucking shit, is this James Bond meets Michael Bay with a Nolan aesthetic? This is insane. This is a 90s blockbuster shot on a motherfucking IMAX camera. Put this in my veins. Denzel's son is a fucking stud. The reverse bullets coming out. If you want to put in quick 30-second context what the opening was.
Right, and that's the thing is it's a crazy movie. The trailers for it, especially earlier this summer when they're we're putting up a trailer in Fortnite, and that trailer's release date doesn't have one, but it does say only in theaters. And that is out the jump. All right, Christopher Nolan is a very particular kind of filmmaker who is pretty rare in Hollywood these days because he's somebody who Hollywood truly lets have carte blanche because of the kind of response that his films get. You know, he gets all these
next level.
Crazy budgets. It's next level. They let him blow up a plane in this one. They let him drive a plane into a building.
Yeah, that was honestly just, once again, the set pieces, the score, Ludwig Göransson's score. Shout out to Childish Gambino. Fucking so dope.
He did a great job of being like sort of Hans Zimmer-y, but not totally. I thought it was Hans Zimmer until I looked up later that it was Ludwig.
Oh, and I'm fucking obsessed with the Travis Scott song. I thought that was like a match made in heaven as far as getting Gen Z and pop culture in association with kind of all that. So I really was just, it was the most hooked I've been with a Nolan movie. Probably also just because this was the first new fucking piece of content we've seen. But like you said, he's the like last working studio auteur with a major motion picture fucking studio that has carte blanche, that has Final Cut, that could literally do whatever the fuck he wants.
Including like saying we're only going to release it in theaters. Yeah,
which, once again, also batshit crazy to me, just like this movie. I think that Nolan he's turned into a meme and a character of himself. And I read that article about how his kids call him Mr. Woodcock based on the hit fucking Paul Thomas Anderson movie Phantom Thread. Shout out Daniel Day-Lewis. And which is also, why the fuck is Chris Nolan showing his kids Phantom Thread? That's a whole other goddamn thing that needs to be a conversation. Don't fucking ever show your kid a Paul Thomas Anderson movie until they're like 19. Don't watch a fucking Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Especially not Phantom Thread. Phantom Thread is a really fucked up movie about...
Well, it's his most accessible, normal, beginning, middle, end, regular movie. So I guess that's how he fucking showed it.
I guess.
And there was some interviews like, oh yeah, we always joke about the egg scene. I'm like, why do these fucking kids know that the egg scene exists? Well, yeah, that was, but it's dope to see. The good part is I'm obviously filmmaker, film lover, us being like part of the, I hope we're not film bros, but in that early pre-social media world of watching movies. What else do we love but a major studio fronting the bill for fucking insane set pieces like this?
Exactly.
We've seen it done in Mission Impossible franchise, which I know we love too. And it's just like, and James Bond, but it's only franchises can do this. You're not getting original fucking shit like this. This movie is essentially a director's cut. This movie needed so many studio notes, and people that loved it agreed with me as well.
Okay, well,
that's my compromise.
So now we're getting into. Now we're really getting into it, which is here's where we're going to draw the line in the sand. You think this is Nolan's worst movie, right?
Yeah, I think I've now come to a point and put my aggression down. I was happy I saw it, obviously. And then I kept going back to the first 45 minutes because I really, really did love it. But holy shit, I did not think something could be worse than The Dark Knight Rises. I'm just happy The Dark Knight Rises had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I knew what was going on.
Well, okay, so where did you turn on this movie? Like, how did you feel after that first 45 minutes? Because there's a whole 2 hours after that. So what happened?
There is a whole second half of the fucking movie that's like meta, which is Avengers Endgame after that, but not fun. Sorry to say it, but oh my god, like. I love rich people boat shit. I love Kenneth Branagh going 800% with the Russian accent because Kenneth Branagh is like a fucking theater actor. So I'm like, oh, dude, even like I was on fucking board. The whole villain and World War III ending and nuclear device and shit. I'm like, oh my god, like feed this to my veins right now. The damsel in distress trope was so fucking stupid, but I know it was an homage to Bond. So I was like, okay, whatever. I will go along with this crashing of the plane before the second act even happens.
Right.
What? This is going to be the best movie of the summer. And then it was right when they got to the boating scene where you think that she throws him off to kill him.
Right.
And then he takes off his belt to try to strangle her, but he's in love with her. I'm like, okay, this is kind of turning into an Indian soap opera. I don't know how on board I am with this. There's also hundreds of millions of dollars spent on this movie, and I think they're wasting screen time. And then it just got to a level of nonsensical when the truck heist happened. And the truck heist, once again, amazing set piece. After that, I was just... after the Travis Scott song ended, which was fantastic, I was just like, okay, this movie's either gonna keep me or go what the fuck. The reverse scene happened with the trippy talking and being Kenneth Branagh doing that. Once again, I'm like, oh, this is fucking interesting. He's going into the portal, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be like Nolan's top 3 movie. Let's go. I'm back on board. Next hour 30, just gone, done.
Why though? Why?
It was so fucking Chris Nolan-y. It was like almost self-aware that he was like making a commentary on himself. Robert Pattinson was literally playing him. By the way, Robert Pattinson, a fucking star. I've been saying it
so
forever.
Great.
I am on board for anything Robert Pattinson fucking does. He's gonna kill it in Batman. I wish he was the lead in this goddamn movie. I thought that after he went in and, okay, they're doing the meta Avengers Endgame thing. We've seen it before. It just got confusing for the sake of fucking being confusing. And the fact that I had to listen to motherfucking 8 fucking minutes of 3 different podcasts and then one of the full podcasts, read 9 articles, and fucking read the Wikipedia plot summary 6 times. Like, yeah, maybe 17-year-old me, filmmaking, we're all going for it. Like, would have fucking loved this, but this was like almost a discount Mulholland Drive. But Mulholland Drive is like, oh, I want to go back and rewatch that shit, because that was trippy, but I knew what was going on until the next 45 minutes. This lost me because mostly I fucking hated all the characters. I love the actors and I love the casting in them, but the fact that Kenneth Branagh was my favorite character is like a lot.
Okay. I want to address something right out of the gate, which is, so when I saw the movie, I saw it with a couple other people at the drive-in, right? Like, we went and we hung out, and then, before the movie, we got next to each other, we talked, got back into our separate cars. After the movie we came together again. And they expressed the same, as far as the timeline stuff is concerned. They expressed the same confusion that you had. And the thing that I've been seeing a lot of in people's reviews on Letterboxd and social media and everything is the same criticism that you have. It's confusing. I didn't understand it. I don't know whether I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I had no problem understanding this movie. It's so straightforward, and I don't know why anybody is having trouble understanding this movie.
That's me with Inception, but Inception is also fucking entertaining and rewatchable. I was so exhausted and I don't check my clock ever or my phone in movies, and I did that. And I was so exhausted going, how the fuck is there 20 minutes of this left? That the time that the Travis Scott song came on, I just put it on fucking full blast and pretended I wasn't watching the movie and just bumping my head. And I was like, okay, at least I got this song out of this fucking movie. But I just thought it was so, but like, what the fuck is this, Fight Club? Why the fuck should I care about Kenneth Branagh's wife? Why the fuck does John David Washington care so much about Kenneth Branagh's fucking wife and the kid? Because the kid is apparently Robert Pattinson.
I've heard that rumor, yeah.
I've heard that theory. And I'm fine. I'm fine with that theory if it is, because he's the mastermind behind Tenet. Oh my god. So I need to say full transparency to any of the listeners that I had this movie spoiled for me on Reddit probably like 3 days before I saw it, and I wasn't mad. I was like, oh, okay.
Wait, what did the spoiler say?
I was just reading like a no spoilers comment thread, and someone fucking put a spoiler.
What's the spoiler?
John David Washington is Tenet. He's the mastermind behind Tenet. Tenet is his idea.
Oh.
And I'm like, I could have predicted that from like minute 3 of this movie. But,
I mean, but that's the thing is like, okay. So if you're listening to this podcast after you've seen the movie, for the listeners out there, right? And you're in the same boat as Raj.
All the listeners.
If you're in the same boat as Raj and you had a problem understanding the movie, I don't know why. Because I think this movie's, first of all, it's Christopher Nolan's one of his top 5. Maybe his top 3. I mean, for me, it goes Dunkirk, Dark Knight. Listen, Dunkirk, Dark Knight, Tenet.
Beyond batshit crazy of a take. No, Dunkirk number 1. I get that. I respect that. Dunkirk's excellent.
Dark Knight number 2.
Canon.
It used to be Inception.
Remake. Yeah, Inception fucking rules. My 3 is probably Prestige, Dark Knight, and Inception.
I gotta see
Memento.
Prestige again and Memento again.
Oh.
This movie made me want to watch more Chris Nolan.
Prestige is like Okay, that's the fucking thing. I kept comparing this to The Prestige because Prestige is like mind-blowingly good, and that's one of those movies where I know the ending, and I went back and watched it in theaters the next day when it came out in 2006 because it's about the journey. That's what I love about Nolan is him able to take these big, grandiose scales, but tell like not original stories. He's always adapting from certain formats, like everyone does, but really kind of creating his own universe. And The Prestige is so contained in its own world. Also, Tom York does the fucking end theme song, which is amazing.
Of course.
It's of course I have to give a shout out to my boy
Of course you
Tom.
do.
It's like the issue with this and Inception, they're 10 years apart. And I remember us texting about Inception when we saw it on our... You were living in New York that summer in 2010, and I was in Jersey. I remember we were trying to meet up to see it, but schedules didn't coincide. So we both saw it, and we're like, what the fuck? You were running a dope-ass Tumblr then, too. I remember that.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day. College Tumblr, baby.
Back in the day. Taking fucking DSLR photos for festivals and bands, dude. The fucking apex peak of white privilege internships.
What a time. What a time, dude.
I remember the fucking amazing, iconic era, honestly. I remember us talking about it, and it was like a blast, but it was like, I did not have any issue figuring out Inception because it was so to the point, and I was just glued to this movie. I still think it's one of the most through and through fun movies ever made, and that to me showed Nolan as, holy shit, okay, yeah, and we were both predicted it. This guy is going to be the only fucking guy that's able to make movies at this scale, probably
ever,
for a major studio until the streamers, take over and shit. I mean, Scorsese went to Netflix, Soderbergh went to Netflix, Fincher's new movie is Netflix, and it's like 4 times the budget of Gone Girl and Fight Club. So like, that's where these tech people are obviously putting coin behind these other auteurs we love movies. But I was like, shit, Nolan stayed with Warner. That's dope, keeping old Hollywood alive. Yeah, you and I love going to studio lots. It's awesome, even though like we have no business there sometimes.
There's something about it though. There's something fun about it.
It's just there's a feeling there, and I know Nolan has that vibe too. And every time I watch Inception, I'm like, okay, he made this with scale. He shot this on stage 16. He built this whole fucking...
He had the whole turning thing, man. But
it's insane. Like, yeah,
the difference the difference between amazing. Inception and Tenet is Inception...
What's the difference, Jerry?
Explains every line of dialogue is expository. I say this having rewatched it and still digging Inception, still loving that movie. Oh. But every line of dialogue is explaining what's happening to you because it's a movie that Christopher Nolan invented this insane dream logic, literally, where he has to, because it's a concept that no one understands except for him, he has to explain it to you and spell it out to you every single chance he gets. Here's the thing with Tenet, though. The Tenet script, because it's a Christopher Nolan script, and Christopher Nolan is not an emotional human being, he does the same thing here, right? He's explaining, like, here's what's going on from the jump, all right? There's this thing called inversion, and we have to figure out why these objects are inverted and who's sending these inverted bullets back, because if we don't figure it out, they're going to activate this device that's going to end the world by erasing the past. And
I wish they did at a certain point, honestly, because I was fucking over it.
But so they explain but they do explain it because it's Christopher Nolan, so he has to explain the rules of his insane logic that he's created for this movie. And then it gets to the part where it finally reveals, like, the true crux of the movie is when the movie reveals that it's going to be a palindrome in the truest sense, where you finally see John David Washington get inverted himself and go through the turnstile. Because that last scene, right when he goes and the guy, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Daisy Green kept calling him bootleg Tom Hardy, because that's basically
bootleg
who he's
Tom
being
Hardy.
in this movie.
He's like also fucking 10th build and was used in zero of the marketing material. And I remember, Jay, when we graduated college, he was in this shitty Taylor Kitsch movie that cost $100 million with Oliver Stone called Savages with Blake Lively. And he was
Savages is bad.
Yeah, it was the movie I like told everyone not to see, not even because it was bad. It's like just a waste of time. But he was front and center as a star. Then he did Godzilla 2 years later, and his wife, who's like 50 years older than him, directed
50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, the sex movie. And it's like, this guy, so he was great in the fucking movie.
But so
he
has
in the movie,
and he shows up right in the very middle, and he's the guy who basically explains to John David Washington and to the audience, all right, you're about to finally see what it looks like when the protagonist, which, okay, and by the way, just I know that we've gone on a bunch of tangents. I can't believe that John David Washington's character doesn't have a name. It's just called the protagonist. Like, that's the most insane.
That's where Nolan has
Christopher Nolan
so self-aware of, like, and I get it. It's like kind of low-key big dick energy. If we were at his level and our wives were our goddamn executive fucking producer, and we, like, had Warner Brothers essentially, like, philosophically held hostage of making a fucking movie like this, I'll just call my main character the protagonist. Why the fuck not? We don't need to give him a name.
But Aaron Taylor Johnson goes off in this thing, and he's like, all right, here's how inversion works. Blah, blah, you can't walk, you have to walk a certain way. And if it's fire, it's going to feel cold, and all this other shit. And that's the last time that anything gets explained to you. After that, he just lets it ride. The plot runs its way out, and you just have to keep up. But Nolan's already laid out everything that you need. It's not like the thing with people being like very confused by this movie. I feel like you guys are looking for too much. Like, you just have to just let it. You have to watch it for what it is. Where it's like the rules are explained. Now you're just going to watch a spy movie with these rules, and you're going to watch the same movie that you just saw. But you're going to see how we got to that point. You're going to see the reverse.
I think that was my biggest issue, Jay, was that because I remember him doing interviews before saying that he wants this to be his, like, Indiana Jones, and with the way that they set it up with, once again, MVP Robert Pattinson, fucking
so great.
I was like, you can get 3-4 more of these movies. Like, I want to see that movie of them doing one of the many adventures together that they talk about at the end.
God, I would love to see that.
I want to see them do... Yeah, like, I would see them doing that spy shit any day. It was just the fucking... The mother-son trope was so just dumb because we have zero reason to care about these characters, and we have zero reason for John David Washington to fucking care about these characters. And once again, that's probably why we're getting Tenet 18, because that's, gonna be the son. He grows up.
We're gonna get Tenet first. Tenet.
Yeah, Tenet. Fucking, I'm here for that. Have John Woo direct that and just shit blow up every 5 seconds.
But that's the thing. It's like, this is what Nolan does, and you pointed it out. You've even got your background acknowledging it. Nolan does essentially high-minded versions of a genre movie that people already know, which is pretty much just crime thrillers.
Yep, and what I love about, I will say this, he's so self-admitting and has been since 2008, and I was fortunate and privileged enough to go to the 70mm screening of Heat that they did back at the Academy like 4 years ago, where he interviewed Bobby De Niro, Pacino, and Michael Mann, and it was kind of awesome to see him like fanboy out. Because he's Chris Nolan, and he completely stopped his demeanor of talking like this in 70mm film. He's like, so Michael, Bobby, what were you thinking about this? Bob, I really, really want to know. And he talked about how he watched Heat 4 times in one day, which is 12 hours of movie, which is fucking nuts. And I say that with Heat being one of my like all-time favorite movies. I've seen it over 50 times, and like it's I think one of the most rewatchable 3-hour movie ever made, next to Wolf of Wall Street. And I think that him being so self-admitting that, oh yeah, The Dark Knight is just fucking Heat.
Right.
The Dark Knight is just Heat.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do anything original. I took characters and universe and people knew, took a blockbuster polish, and I literally remade Heat for the exact studio that released Heat.
Which is like Christopher Nolan admitting that he does that. It's totally, I'm not surprised by that. Which I respect. But that's the thing.
We love The Dark Knight, you know?
Yeah, we love The Dark Knight. We love, because what Christopher Nolan does, again, very high polished crime thrillers. The difference in his past 2 films, Dunkirk is a war movie, done finally, because finally Christopher Nolan was like, you know what, I'm going to start making some other kinds of movies instead of just crime thrillers over and over again. So we have a Christopher Nolan war movie now where it's Dunkirk, and it's just like, it's I can't put my finger on it, man. But then we have Tenet, and Tenet is the Christopher Nolan James Bond movie. And that, I think, like, the fact that he's branching out genre-wise into making more than just a crime thriller, I've never laughed at a Christopher Nolan movie the way I laughed at this movie. Like, he's got...
I did laugh at some, John David Washington dialogue where, like, I just liked... It was kind of like shitty 90s sitcom dialogue that worked in the situation where he's getting frisked, and he was like, whoa, where I'm from, you gotta buy me dinner first.
Yes! Because that's the thing, it's like... Because if you look at it, James Bond, all of his movies have the same sort of, like... shitty jokes, but they work because it's delivered by a charming lead, like Daniel Craig or Pierce Brosnan.
Casino Royale, I always laugh every time with Daniel Craig, and it's like, I remember my 14-year-old cousin was watching it, and he was like, this isn't funny, why are you laughing? Where he has to resuscitate himself in life at Montenegro and Aston Martin. He's like, sorry guys, that last hand almost killed me.
Right. Or the part where he's like... He's getting tortured and the guy keeps hitting him in the balls with the thing. And he's like cracking jokes during that. And it's like, it's classic James Bond. But this is the thing. Now Christopher Nolan, because he's branching out and doing other genres, like he gives us license. I've never felt like I could laugh, except for maybe like a line in Inception or a line in The Dark Knight or a line in Batman Begins, right? Where it's like, okay,
Inception has a few moments. I would say Inception was his funniest movie before this, but only because of Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Tom Hardy is just the one cracking jokes the entire movie.
So, but that's the thing. It's like, I think, I think if you're watching this movie and you are confused by the movie, like if you come away thinking, I don't know what just happened, you're thinking too hard. Like Christopher Nolan he's not, I've said this many times, I'm super on record for saying this. Christopher Nolan is a guy who makes movies to make dumb people feel like they're smart. Now we've hit a point where the people who are like smart film goers like you and I, and the people whose opinions that we also like read and care about, those people are like, those people have come to expect too much of Christopher Nolan, I think, because Dunkirk's like came out of left field and they're like, oh, Christopher Nolan can make a movie that kind of has like heart and emotion to it. It's weird. Because
that at heart, so going back to Dunkirk, I mean, this is you getting a win on your podcast and things coming full circle that like I rewatched that movie and I don't hate it anymore, which is like huge, big win for you. The heart of the Dunkirk is it's really simple. It's just a saving mission and it's like a feel good that we saved our troops. It's kind of almost like soldier propaganda, but like not really also, because there's my biggest issue is you don't know any of the characters or care about them, but then I realized the movie is kind of just a little jumble of little pieces of what's going on and what's happening in the moment. And the overarching is that we like remember everything. And I got really sad the second time I watched it when Cillian, however the fuck you say his name, that the kid, Georgie or whatever, like dies because of him being a fucking asshole, but also he has PTSD, so he's not really an asshole. Right. The whole point was to save him. And Academy Award winner Mark Rylance, who is just a star and a stud, love him so much. I still haven't watched the Spielberg BFG. I have an unopened Blu-ray of it that I use as my coffee coaster because just people told me not to, but I'm sure he's wonderful in it. It's the thing about Dunkirk was, I will say my fault was expectations were through the roof. You know, I was in Israel when it came out and it was posters and billboards everywhere. I'm not going to see a movie on vacation, obviously. And I came back and you know how it is. Day gig, work, this, event, that. Right. So I like finally ducked out of work one day and I was like, okay, I'm going to go and do a 5:15 p.m. screening. Did it with the sound, popcorn, phone off. And I was just like, what? Huh? Who? But then I appreciated it more and more. I passionately, and I mean this really sincerely from the bottom of my heart, in really the most disrespectful way possible, will never rewatch this movie again or have a reason to unless you convince me otherwise. I listen to the soundtrack every day. I listen to the Interstellar soundtrack all the time, but I haven't revisited that. All the Nolan soundtracks fucking rule. But I mean, god damn, this movie was so in its own goddamn head thinking it was smarter than everyone. And Nolan does make the Big Bang Theory for people.
See, that's the thing.
Things about smart people for dumb people. And I know that. We've talked about that since forever, since we met.
Here's what I think. I think this is solely a problem of the people who are watching Tenet, like you, and who are like, oh, Christopher Nolan, he's trying to make a movie that's just confusing. I hate this. He's not making a confusing movie.
Literally fucking doing that.
No, but he's not. The movie is so simple. The movie is a palindrome.
Okay.
Halfway through the
Tell
movie,
me the
you see
A
the movie
plot.
in reverse.
Tell me the A plot in 20 seconds and tell me the B plot in 20 seconds.
Okay. A plot of the movie. John David Washington plays a spy who finds out that there's this thing that lets you reverse time, and he uses that to stop the world from
10
ending.
seconds.
Done.
Okay, so he needs to avoid World War III, essentially.
Right, but he uses the time reversal to end that, to keep that from happening.
By
The
going
B-
into the little portal that looks like a dark room.
Right, the turnstile.
Yeah.
He uses the
turnstile.
He finds out about the inversion technology and uses that technology to keep the world from ending. The B plot of the movie. Are we on the clock? Am I on the clock?
You're on the clock now.
Okay. B plot of the movie. A Russian oligarch who is trying to end the world has a bad relationship with his wife, who also uses the time reversal technology that her husband is helping spread to murder him.
5 seconds.
Done.
Okay. Wow. Okay, yeah. So I love, Russian villains in a movie. We grew up with that trope. It's like such a thing. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol does it brilliantly. My partner and I just watched Air Force One. She watched it for the first time and was like, holy fucking shit, this is so entertaining. And I rewatched it going, oh my God, why don't they make movies like this anymore? So I'm on board for any Russian oligarch plot. And the fact that he kind of low-key was trying to be sexy with the
unbuttoned, the chest hair, the Kenneth Branagh chest hair.
The chest hair.
Give it to me, Daddy.
I'm like, oh damn, yeah. Oh, he was a Russian oligarch zaddy on that fucking yacht, the billionaire yacht. I love anything on a
Cyrillic
yacht. I want to be
zaddy for
part
sure.
of that. Oh, I want to be part of that yacht-esque world. I just rewatched The Talented Mr. Ripley, which is brilliant if you haven't seen it in a while. With 50s yacht culture in Europe, and I'm like, I will say, when I got to the yacht scene and when we're seeing all that, I'm like, oh shit, is this like a Fast and Furious movie? And I say that in a positive way. I love that franchise because the biggest part about that franchise, and I'll say the big pro about this movie, is I got to travel to 5 different countries.
Right.
If I'm watching this movie in India, which the movie was in Mumbai too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The main arms dealer girl is actually played by Dimple Kapadia, who is like the Meryl Streep of Bollywood. So it was awesome to see her in a movie.
It's great.
I hate that she got shot, but also I was like, oh, fuck yeah. It's never seen a Bollywood actress in a big movie like this.
That's the thing.
Yeah, even seeing her next to a yacht or next to rich things. I love rich allure things with garbage people around rich things. I think we're always, that's why Succession is such a big show.
We love the wealth
We
porn.
want to see bad people. Yeah, we want to see bad people doing bad shit in rich, lavish environments that we've never had access to. Well, we live in Los Angeles. We probably ended up in a rich person thing on a Tuesday at 2 a.m. somehow. But
exactly.
I think I wanted more. My main issue, honestly, and my gripe with it was I wanted more with Kenneth. And then when it just got to him just doing the regular Bond tropes is when he was John David Washington's peeking through the window and he's like, oh, what do you need? And I work on a freelancer on my own. And I'm like, no, man, I think I wanted that Casino Royale scene. I wanted him to get caught. I wanted him to get tortured. That would have made me care about protagonist more. And then most importantly, I think, so the plot you said, yeah, it's not confusing, the time travel. I think it's fucking stupid. I will rewatch it again, but once again, I want you to sincerely tell me as a fan of this movie, or you could call it a flaw in the movie, why the fuck do I care about this art dealer wife and her son? Why the fuck do I really care about the son? There's zero reason in the narrative or motivation with anything going on, from them crashing the plane into a hangar, from doing the dope-ass truck heist, to care about the son. Please, and give me some insight.
I mean, I don't have any insight. You said it already. It's a damsel in distress trope. It's just Christopher Nolan doing a James Bond movie. You got to have a Bond girl if you're going to do a James Bond movie, right?
But then shouldn't fucking Washington's son kiss her? At least have one cute PG kissing scene? Because
he saves her life instead.
He just cares about her that much. But what's his motivation to care about her that much?
He probably wants to bone her. Maybe we don't have to see. Hey, listen, just because we don't see them kiss
true.
doesn't mean that they aren't totally getting down whenever they've both fully recovered from whatever inversions they've gone through.
And with the inversions, that's my question. Okay, so when he kills Dimple Kapadia in the last frame of the movie in the car, which once again, I expected the ending to be a little more grandiose. I didn't expect 3 people that liked it. Oh, you just wanted Inception, aha moment. And I was like, no. I just needed more of a good cut to black, not mother and son walking away cut to black to a fucking Travis Scott banger.
See,
I wanted a epic
This is the thing. I think what Inception does is the ending, right? It's not necessarily an aha moment. It's a moment where it's like, oh, what's going on? Are we still in the dream? And it's the thing where it's like that's what we're gonna be talking about after the movie. Tenet doesn't need that because James Bond doesn't fucking need that. James Bond doesn't need a move where it's an ambiguous cliffhanger. James Bond's just James Bond.
James Bond. But then James Bond still has ways he'll return. Obviously, those 70s and 80s movies our parents didn't allow us to watch, where he's like straight up in bed on like a silk sheet on a yacht or some fucking foreign resort, and I'm like, how does this fucking guy not have STDs and he changes identities every fucking 10 years? And what, like, my main question I had growing up, not the STDs part, but like, oh man, he's sleeping with a lot of people. I thought you're not supposed to do that.
I thought that was what Jesus didn't say that we were allowed to do that. That's why I wasn't allowed to watch the James Bond movies for a long time.
I am there for the Texas Jesus narrative to not watch Harry Potter, who's trying to put witchcraft on you, or James Bond, who's trying to make you an imperialistic British prick.
Well, but now Harry Potter is about teaching you that it's not okay to be trans, which means that my Christian family, the church folks back home, are probably super on board with it now. They're going to try and unburn all those Harry Potter books. They're
gonna use the Tenet technology to bring it
exactly.
All
See,
and reverse the burning.
Coming full circle. That's what Tenet's all about. Here's what I want to ask to listen. I hope that I change your mind the way that I did on Dunkirk, and I do have one sort of existential question to close it off.
Yes.
So now that we're seeing Chris Nolan branch out into other genres, besides just crime thrillers and ripoffs of Michael Mann, what genre do you want to see Christopher Nolan do next? What kind of movie do you want to see him make?
This is, I mean, I love genres, and I know he's like a diehard fan of Mission Impossible Fallout, which you've seen that, right? Just what a just piece of
Wait, that's the most recent one, right?
Yeah, the one with the helicopters.
No, I haven't.
Loading.
The last one I saw was Ghost Protocol. I haven't seen Fallout yet.
Also, that's the Brad Bird one with the climbing the Dubai building, and you love that. That was fun as hell.
Great,
right?
very fun.
It's like a live action cartoon essentially.
Yeah.
So this new one with Henry Cavill, it's like the way that he shot it in IMAX really was almost facsimile, and I say that as a positive way, to a lot of the frames from Mission Impossible Fallout. From the aerial drone shots to the big close-ups of faces to like just showing these set pieces and getting like the really crisp details behind them. And that's the thing, Nolan, even when he shoots big frame, he's all about the details, like to another level. I kind of call him the first like HD director, if that makes sense. Like HD is his shit, really.
Yeah.
I think that if he so he made a Bond and Mission Impossible movie, essentially. That 2 movies and genres he's loved forever, and I think that if he wanted to conquer something really next and truly break out of every existence of what his comfort zone is, and this is a hot take, but listen to me for a second.
I'm here.
He's all about competitions in his movies. There's always a competition. John David Washington, Kenneth Branagh, he doesn't want to fuck the wife, but he wants to keep the wife, even though he's awful and abusive. But he thinks that's his competitor. Dunkirk, obviously, which soldiers are going to be saved? More in like a less enticing way. And then battle, competition, if you want Tom Hardy and the other pilots, good versus evil. Interstellar, to me, is all about Matthew McConaughey and himself on what he can prove. And then my favorite part of the movie, which is everyone's most hated part of the movie, you know what I'm going to say, is Matt Damon fucking showing up for no reason. I don't know why, I just think it's the funniest fucking thing ever, and he did The Martian a year later. I just love, it's so nonsense. See, that's Nolan being so nonsensical where it's like, I can't not be on board. with why the fuck is Matt Damon in your movie?
But Interstellar. We can't. We don't even have time.
Yeah, you're not an Interstellar fan, right?
No, I hate Interstellar. It's my least favorite.
Interstellar.
It's the worst Christopher Nolan movie.
Okay, so I would say that's like underdone. That's like 8th for me, I would say. So it's above Dark Knight Rises for sure. But yeah, I'm. That's like. But then that wouldn't be a good podcast if we just talk about what's wrong with it.
I mean, I already did that episode too. But back to the competition stuff.
No,
yeah.
the competition. So we go back and back and back. Inception is about Cobb versus Saito, if he's really gonna be able to get his kids back. You know. Mm-hmm. Dark Knight, I don't even need to say. It's Al Pacino as Batman versus Robert De Niro as Joker. But The Prestige, to me, is almost a sports movie. It's about fucking nerds doing magic. And it's about nerds seeing who's the best fucking magician out of each of them to a level where they're going to do crazy shit and go to a thunderous David Bowie. Jay, you have to watch this movie. I'm going to drive to...
I've seen it. I just got to rewatch it.
Oh no, it's just so adamantly rewatchable that now you're getting me fired up to go back and rewatch it. But I want to see Nolan conquer a true and through sports movie. Prestige to me is a sports movie. It's all about stats board, who's selling out the audiences, who's going to come out the best. Batman comes out the best because he has a twin whose twin's thumb he fucking cuts off.
Right.
And I think that if he did a sports movie, we could just see such a different side of him. And any sports movie, does the man watch sports, or does he just wear suits and ascots 24/7 in his life? Like, I really want to see him break out of his full and complete comfort zone and do basically an adaptation of the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary and make it like a fucking 4-hour Prestige epic.
Now
that releases.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
You
would watch that shit.
I would 100% watch that.
Filming in Chicago. And how amazing, Dark Knight's fully filmed in Chicago. Like, how amazing would it be to him have IMAX cameras in Chicago of seeing Jordan, like, I don't know, like doing bumps of blow or like doing ketamine or whatever the fuck we didn't see in that doing drugs or getting fucked up. And it would also be another challenge. I want to see him do an R-rated sports film. Because the fact that he has carte blanche, he can. And his last R-rated film that he did was 2002, Insomnia, with Bobby De Niro, Robin Williams, Hilary Swank. Have you seen that?
No, that's the only Christopher Nolan movie I have never seen.
It's I think it's streaming on Netflix or HBO Max. It's like a slow burn, but it's good. It's like a crime. He didn't write it.
It's like a Norwegian crime adaptation, right?
It's a Norwegian crime adaptation from a film from, I believe, 1997, and it's good. It's good. Not like very rewatchable, but like I watch it like every 4 or 5 years to be like, oh, this is like Nolan got a fucking major studio thriller.
So we want to see like Chris Nolan's Moneyball or Chris Nolan's Foxcatcher or something in that vein. But the Last Dance.
In that vein, but not. So Foxcatcher has such a tragic ending, and like, I love the movies you just mentioned, but more of like because he needs a victorious ending. All his movies, he is a mainstream studio filmmaker. I was just listening to Sean Fennessy on The Big Picture talking about David Fincher making these like movies that are indie, and I'm like, no, every movie, even if as fucked up as it is, because he just hates people and treats his characters like a punching bag, they're all accessible. The whole point of Gone Girl is his highest grossing movie, made hundreds and hundreds of $1 million. And you're like, you get to see Barney from How I Met Your Mother, Doogie Howard's throat get slit with a full audience of 500 people.
It's pretty great.
Because the adaptation was there and that. And I kind of want to see him do something ballsy like that, R-rated, but victorious. Not like a Ben Affleck, the way back, like depressed, suicidal basketball coach. Or do you want to see like
his Taking Back Sunday? Or Any Given Sunday, not Taking Back Sunday, Any Given Sunday. Taking Back Sunday is a Christian band. Sorry, I got back into Jesus Texas mode.
Did you just confuse the hit 1999 motion picture by Oliver Stone with the mid-2000s emo band?
Yes. Yeah, no, we want to see his Any Given Sunday, not his Taking Back Sunday.
Any Given Sunday with like big stars, with like The Last Dance, get like fucking Get John David Washington to shave his head and fully be Jordan, or whoever we can cast as Jordan, and get that Jordan movie in. Get Warner Brothers $350 million in, and then you'll have every sports organization in the existence of the world doing marketing and ad dollars for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that R-rated movies don't hold the trope that they did growing up. Like, the sneaking into an R-rated movie is not a thing anymore for kids. Why? Because kids don't fucking like going to the movie theaters anymore, or don't care about it. Movie theaters have now kind of evolved into a place for a 16 to 86 demographic, and honestly, I'm fucking here for it.
Me
when
too.
they can reopen and when we can go back to them safely, there's nothing more, you know, as we became adults more, we try our hardest to make time to see movies. But seeing movies in theaters is our favorite thing to do, and Chris Nolan keeps that alive with original visions, which is, as much as I fucking hated Tenet, that's what I appreciate about it, that it was a quote-unquote original vision that he took one of his favorite genres with. But imagine him doing that with, like, a sports movie, or even, like, he should have directed Richard Jewell. I want to see Chris Nolan's Richard Jewell.
Oh, that would be cool.
When it came out in theaters. Right? How fucking crazy would that be if you start the whole beginning with the ending movie, start with the tragic incident where he was a hero, and then fucking go back into it, have these big-ass IMAX frames, because Clint Eastwood, I mean, as much as I love him before he was racist, has lost his mind as a filmmaker. He's like 89, but the apex of my life was getting a selfie with him at Coachella when I was 24, because why the fuck was he at Coachella? And I think that his days are so behind him, but Nolan is about to be the next Clint Eastwood as far as the Warner Final Cut carte blanche system goes.
Right.
He needs to adapt some sort of a sport historical event movie like that. So essentially blending, because my love for just sports stories, not sports in general, because I know people listen to this and Raj loves sports, whatever, but I love the story and background behind sports, which is why The Last Dance works so much. And if we see a Nolan adaptation of that, I mean, I don't know if you've seen The Last Dance.
I still haven't. No, I have not.
Gosh.
I know.
Netflix.
I will.
Netflix. Do it to it. I mean, I think that this would win him his Best Director Oscar if he did a sports movie.
Okay.
That's my thing.
Well,
and the Dunkirk Oscar nomination was very well deserved, so I hope he makes something that's just as accessible and not as fucking convoluted, conceited, and stupid as this fucking movie, but I'm excited to see it in a movie theater with you when we're able to do that.
Right, and I'm excited for you to come around on thinking this movie is stupid and complex when it's really not. But
I'm
hey,
just happy you have no explanation for the damsel in distress trope,
other than it existing. It's just James Bond. Hey, you got to win.
That's me winning.
Raj, it's a pleasure to have you back on the podcast. If the listeners want to go see what you're up to, what's the best way they can?
So follow me on Instagram at ASAPRajy, ASAPRAJY. I'm going to be doing a lot of reels, their shitty new discount TikTok format, on how to, make Tenet sequels. And I'm trying to go to Tenet 137, so just look out for that. We have some good content coming. And I'm also the same thing on Twitter. And I have a lot of fun music recommendations and a lot of playlists I make that Jay also follows. And
yes.
Just a lot of good reviews I go to. So yeah, just want to keep spreading the love of movies. And just watch The Prestige whenever you can.
I will. And The Last Dance. And we'll have so much more to talk about after that. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates, both digitally and in person, outdoors, done safely. And
I'll be there.
Oh yeah,
outdoors,
come by.
Fuck yeah.
We're doing them outdoors, man.
Yeah.
We're doing them. Yeah. I'll keep you posted. And
let me buy tickets.
If you're a fan of the show, subscribe on Patreon. You'll get access to bonus episodes in the Blockbusting Film Club once a month, where we get to watch a movie together and have a fun time and talk about it.
Yes, and I really want to say, guys, if you're listening, please subscribe to the Patreon. Like, Jay does this out of the wonderfulness of his heart and keeps it so consistent. And it is, especially in this time, so hard to consistently do a podcast or keep something going on this. And I praise you for this, Jay, and especially the community that you've built. So I just sincerely, passionately, in the most respectful way now possible, really tell people to subscribe. Hit up that Patreon.
Raj, you are an absolute gem. And thanks again, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Mr. J, thank you so much.
This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.
Busting.